There's something powerful about the first hour of your day, not because it's early, not because it's quiet, but because it's a choice. Every morning, before the world starts demanding things from you, you get a window of control. A moment to decide what kind of person you're going to be that day. Most people don't use that window. They wake up and immediately react. The alarm goes off, they grab their phone, check messages, scroll through headlines, and within minutes their brain is filled with noise, comparison, and chaos. Before they've even taken a sip of water, their mind is already working for everyone else. That used to be me. I'd open my eyes and instantly feel like I was behind. I'd scroll through my notifications, reply to messages, check what everyone else was doing, and by the time I got out of bed, my peace was gone. My day hadn't even started, and I was already tired. I was living reactive, not intentional, and here's what I learned the hard way. If you lose the first hour, you spend the rest of the day trying to catch it back. So I changed one simple thing. I stopped starting my mornings with my phone. For 1 week, I made a deal with myself. No phone, no social media, no chaos for the first hour after waking up. Instead, I sat with silence. I drank water, I breathed, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for and 3 things I wanted to focus on that day. It wasn't perfect and it wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. That first morning felt awkward. My brain was itching to scroll, to react, to do. But the second day felt lighter, the third day calmer. By day 7, I realized something profound. My mornings weren't just quieter, my mind was. That first hour became my foundation. It reminded me that peace doesn't happen by accident. You build it moment by moment, decision by decision. When you start your day grounded, the rest of the world can shake and you won't fall apart. You start leading your life instead of being dragged through it. I used to think I didn't have time to slow down. Now I understand that slowing down is what gives me time. Because when your mind starts clear, you think better, you react better, you choose better. You stop living from urgency and start living from intention. So, if you're feeling scattered, overwhelmed, or constantly behind, try this. Protect the first hour of your day. Don't give it to the world, give it to yourself. It doesn't have to look perfect. Sit in silence, stretch, pray, meditate, or simply breathe. Just claim that space, because how you start your day is how you train your brain to live your life with clarity, not chaos. We love to overcomplicate change. We want the big breakthrough, the massive transformation, the overnight success story. But real change, the kind that actually sticks, doesn't start big. It starts small, painfully small. It starts with the promise you keep to yourself when no one's watching, the kind that looks so insignificant that your brain almost laughs at it. That's how I learned about micro-commitments. 1 week, I decided to stop trying to overhaul my entire life. No more all or nothing plans, no more Monday motivation that faded by Wednesday. Instead, I made one tiny promise to myself: make my bed every morning. That's it. No big routine, no perfection, just one small, consistent act. And I kept it, day after day. At first, it felt silly. Like, how could something so small make a difference? But after a few days, I noticed something unexpected. That one tiny win created a ripple effect. When I made my bed, I started my day with a small sense of order, and that order gave me momentum. I didn't want to break the streak, so I started doing another small thing: drinking a glass of water, stretching, writing a single line in my journal. One habit led to another, and before I realized it, I wasn't chasing motivation anymore. I was building trust. Here's the truth: discipline isn't about willpower, it's about keeping promises. And the smallest promise kept is more powerful than the biggest goal broken. Every time you do what you say you'll do, you send your brain a message: I can count on me. That message matters more than motivation, because motivation fades, but self-trust, that compounds. You don't need to run 10 miles to prove you're serious. You just need to show up for one. You don't need to read 10 books, just read 1 page. The size doesn't matter, the consistency does. The goal isn't to do everything perfectly. It's to build evidence that you can show up, even when it's small, even when it's boring, even when no one else sees it. And here's what's wild. Once you start keeping those small promises, your brain starts believing you again. You start believing you again. The person who says, "I'll do it tomorrow," starts to sound less convincing, because now you have proof that you can start today. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they can't change, it's because they try to change too much at once. They burn out, they fall short, and they tell themselves a story that they're not disciplined, but the truth is, they just aimed too wide. You don't need massive leaps, you need micro steps, small, simple, steady. So if you're trying to change your life, don't start with everything. Start with something. One thing you can control, one promise you can keep. Because when you win those small battles, you build the strength for bigger ones. Consistency builds confidence, and confidence builds change. We don't realize how noisy our world has become until we step away from it. The truth is, we're addicted not just to our phones, but to distraction itself. The constant buzz, the notifications, the scrolling, it's like a never-ending drip of stimulation that keeps us feeling busy but empty. Every ping demands a piece of our attention, and before we know it, we've handed over our piece to a screen that never stops asking for more. I used to justify it. It's just a quick check. I'd say, just 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes always turned into 20, and 20 turned into an hour. And it wasn't just time I was losing, it was focus, clarity, and presence. I'd start my day checking emails, end my night watching random videos, and somewhere in between, I stopped hearing my own thoughts. I wasn't living my day, I was scrolling through it. Then, one week, I decided to test something. No major detox, no deleting every app, just one simple rule. 1 hour every day, completely offline. No phone, no laptop, no noise. The first day, I felt restless, like something was missing. I kept reaching for my phone without even realizing it. It was muscle memory, a reflex. But then, around the third day, something strange happened. I started noticing things again. The sound of my own breathing. The way sunlight came through the window. The quiet hum of my thoughts without constant interruption. That silence, the one I used to avoid, started to feel peaceful, and that's when I realized peace isn't something you find, it's something you protect. Every notification, every unnecessary scroll, every time you pick up your phone out of habit, it's not harmless. It's a withdrawal from your mental bank. Attention is the currency of peace, and we spend it carelessly. When you pull back from the noise, you start to see how much of it never really mattered. You notice how much energy you gave to things that didn't give anything back. You realize that being available all the time doesn't make you productive, it makes you distracted. Clarity doesn't come from adding more. It comes from subtracting what doesn't serve you. So I started setting boundaries, real ones. No phone in the first hour of my morning, no scrolling before bed, notifications off for anything that isn't essential, and the impact, immediate. My focus improved, my stress dropped, and for the first time in a long time, my thoughts felt like mine again. You can't live a focused life in a world built to distract you, but you can take back control of your attention one moment at a time. You don't have to disappear from the world, just decide when you'll show up for it. Because the moment you stop reacting to everything, you start choosing what deserves your energy, and that, right there, is how you reclaim your peace. Most people end their day the same way they live it: rushed, distracted, and on autopilot. They scroll until their eyes get heavy, close the laptop, turn off the light, and call it rest. But the truth is, your mind doesn't rest just because your body does. It carries everything you never took the time to process. Every thought, every emotion, every unfinished conversation, all of it piles up quietly, and over time, that weight turns into noise you can't escape. That's why reflection matters. not the kind that's heavy or dramatic, but honest, gentle reflection. The kind where you pause before bed and simply ask yourself, what did I do well today? What can I do better tomorrow? It sounds small, almost too simple to matter, but when you start ending your day with awareness instead of avoidance, something changes. You stop running from yourself. You start understanding yourself. I used to just crash at night, thinking that sleep alone could reset me, but I'd wake up still feeling the same tired, anxious, disconnected. One week, I tried something new. Every night, before bed, I'd take 5 minutes to write. Nothing fancy, just a few lines. What I was proud of, what frustrated me, what I learned. Some nights I wrote one sentence. Some nights I wrote pages, but every night I got a little clearer. That small act of reflection became a mirror. It showed me patterns I didn't see before, like how often I said yes when I wanted to say no, or how much energy I wasted worrying about things I couldn't control. It wasn't about judging myself. It was about understanding myself, because awareness is the first step to growth. You can't fix what you don't face. What I learned is that reflection is not about perfection. It's about honesty. It's saying, here's what I did well, and giving yourself credit for showing up. It's also saying, here's where I fell short, without beating yourself up for it. When you learn to meet yourself with grace and accountability at the same time, that's when growth starts to feel real. The beauty of reflection is that it slows you down just enough to notice life. You begin to appreciate the small wins that used to slip by. You start to see your own progress, even if it's not dramatic. You realize that every day teaches you something if you're willing to listen. Now, my nights feel different, quieter, calmer, lighter. I sleep better because I've emptied the noise. I no longer carry yesterday into tomorrow, and when I wake up, I start fresh, not because the day reset itself, but because I did. If you want to grow, if you want to feel peace again, take 5 minutes tonight. No phone, no noise, just you and your thoughts. Ask yourself what you learned, what you're grateful for, and what you'll try again tomorrow. Because real growth doesn't come from doing more, it comes from noticing more. And that begins when the day ends. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you feed it grows, and most people don't realize how much junk they plant in it every single day. The conversations they listen to, the posts they scroll through, the news they consume, it all becomes mental nutrition. And if all you feed your mind is negativity, gossip, comparison, and noise, you can't expect peace to grow there. The mind can't thrive on mental fast food. I learned that the hard way. For the longest time, I was careful about what I ate, how I worked out, what I wore, but not what I absorbed. I'd wake up and scroll through chaos, people arguing, bad news, endless highlight reels that made me feel behind in my own life. It didn't seem like a big deal, just entertainment, just updates. But slowly, I started feeling heavier. Less motivated, less focused. I wasn't burnt out because I was doing too much. I was burnt out because I was feeding on the wrong things. So, one week, I made a simple decision. I changed my inputs. Instead of waking up to noise, I started listening to something that built me, a podcast that inspired me, a speech that reminded me who I was. I replaced the endless scroll with a few pages of a book. I started surrounding myself with people who spoke life, not limitation, and within days, I could feel the difference. My energy was different. My thoughts were clearer. My confidence didn't need constant reassurance from the outside anymore. It started coming from within. See, your environment isn't just where you live, it's what you listen to, what you watch, and who you let speak into your life. You can't live a positive life with negative input. You can't expect peace if your mind is constantly processing problems that aren't even yours. Every scroll, every post, every word you take in is shaping your perspective. And the scary part is, most people don't even notice it happening. When you start feeding your mind intentionally, you start thinking differently. You start noticing opportunities instead of obstacles, gratitude instead of lack. You stop reacting to every little thing and start responding with purpose. It's not about pretending everything's perfect, it's about choosing what you focus on. Because what you focus on grows. Now, every morning, I ask myself one question. What am I feeding my mind today? It keeps me grounded. It reminds me that every choice, the music, the voices, the words is shaping who I'm becoming. If you want your life to feel lighter, start with your input. Surround yourself with words that lift you, people that challenge you, and ideas that stretch you. Turn down the volume on everything that drains you. Because your mind is always listening, and it becomes whatever you consistently feed it. Protect that space. Guard your peace like it's gold, because it is.